The Alta conflict is a dividing line between the past and the future, because it opened a new door. My role in this case was that I was the chairman of the Sámi National Association at that time. My role was to lead the organization. That means I didn't participate in the demonstrations. And the idea was that we have to have several fronts. Some would go into the demonstrations, and others should keep the line and the dialogue with the authorities. So they couldn't define us out, all of us, at the same time. And if you lost one place, you could always come back the other ways. That was my basic idea. But all the process in itself was a giant information campaign with so much information about the conditions for the Sámi and other minorities as well, came out in the Norwegian public, and they reacted. They asked the politicians, and they made demonstrations, came out on the streets and said, no, we don't want it this way. We want a change. We haven't known that things were like this. The rights for the Sámi people must be respected. And it was also a campaign for the Sámi people ourselves, and especially both for the young people and the elder people, because we haven't learned our history in school. The reason why I knew much of the history was I had been to the university in Oslo. But for many people, this all was so new. And they said, oh, why haven't we had this information before? But still, people were very afraid and nervous. And their experience from the past was made them be very careful. And all older people asked me, this can be dangerous. Do you think it will lead us into a war with the government? And I said, no, I don't believe that. I know those people that much in Oslo. It will not happen in a country like Norway and the Scandinavian countries. We will have this controversy, but we will work for a solution. And I think both parts are very dedicated. They don't want this to go in the wrong way. So we will find a solution. And then this, to be very brief, 2 commissions were established, and they led up to the creation of the Sámi Parliament, and they also led up to a solution, at least partly, of the land rights questions in the northernmost part of Norway, while the questions in the south part are still unsolved. And they are still there. Now there are a huge pile of reports. So the politicians cannot say that we don't know, we don't have the information. It's all there. So it's up to them. So that didn't solve all the problems. And second issue is the fishing rights for the Sea Sámi in northern Norway, and for the people in northern Norway generally, because their position in this has been so weakened. And when the regulations came in 1990, hardly any Sea Sámi got a quota for fishing. We worked on that, and we had some small progress. But the whole issue, the basic rights to the resources as a basis, as a foundation of their culture, is still unsolved. I was asked many times, how many years would it take to establish the Sámi Parliament? And I said then maybe two or 3 terms, but I see it takes much longer time. It was such a great day when King Olav came there and opened the parliament and prayed to God for his that God will protect and to make it possible for the parliament to do what it was meant to be. It started with our association, the Sámi Association, and the Reindeer Sámi Association. When we prepared the work of the Sámi Commission, we came up with this idea that we need a confirmation in the constitution itself that we are one of the peoples in this country. And that is how it started. Actually, we wanted, it is included in Article 1, that's the first article. It didn't happen that way. But the formulation is very good, actually. And it also said it's an obligation for the state to make it possible for the Sámi people itself. So it doesn't say that the state has also the responsibility, but they should create the conditions so it would be possible for the Sámi people to develop its culture, its social life, and so on. And this is how it happened that the king referred to this and said in 1997 that this state has been established on the territory of two peoples, the Norwegian people and the Sámi people. And I think that made a difference to many, especially Sámi, but also for the rest of the population. The future for every minority is that what we all need is to be accepted by the majority and individually accepted by your own group. So there is probably not one solution. There are many solutions. And this work with the culture and one's background is one that is absolutely necessary, because that gives you the feeling of who you are, why are you how you are, and it gives you a security for what will happen next, because that is the most difficult thing for indigenous and minority people. They are so insecure. Who am I really? What should I be? And what will happen? And I think that is the most fundamental thing for human beings, to know that how I thought, my thinking, my way of perceiving things, my way of understanding other people will be there. It's not only me. I am a part of a continuity from the past to the present and into the future. It was something fantastic that happened when the forum was established. We achieved 3 goals: the forum itself, and then the special rapporteur, and then later came the declaration. And that was really a first step, and it was a realization of the dream we had in 1975 when Sam Deloria, he was the first secretary of the World Council of Indigenous Peoples. He had a vision. One day we will go to New York, to the United Nations, and we will be accepted by the United Nations as other nations of this world, and we will have a seat there. I thought, could that really happen? And I remembered his words when I went up to New York and took the seat as the first president. It was really possible. And it took time, but after all, when you see this in a historical perspective, it didn't take that long time after all. And there are many fantastic people who have been working on the national level and within the United Nations and everywhere to make this come true. Not only the civil organizations, the NGOs, both, of course, the indigenous NGOs, but also many of the other NGOs working with human rights and climate and environment. So all this support we have had for the whole idea, it wouldn't have been possible with all this cooperation, all the helping people we have had for many, many years. the works of our artists, the singers, joikers, painters, all artistic work, has had much more value than those hundreds of petitions, letters, and programs we have been writing. It's important that too, but without this, the political program is the bone, but without the flesh and blood, a body cannot work. And the artistic is the flesh and blood of an organism. And a people is an organism, and it needs both the bones, the flesh, and the blood. I often used joiks both in the Permanent Forum and in other meetings. And there is a joik, the stories about this seidi. It is a stone standing by a fjord, not far from here in north. And it has been standing there for no one knows for how long time. And I told them that this stone is the spirit from the 9 valleys, because this song says so. And it has been standing there protecting the animals, the flowers, the human beings, the fish, and everything that is there. And it is probably one of the oldest joiks that we have. And it has a rhythm that you can almost hear the drum. And it's so long time that the drum has been actually used in a traditional way. Of course, many young people use it now, but that's a little bit different thing. But in that joik, you can almost hear the drum, and it goes like this. Oh, si vaki vonya lo la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 oh la lo la lo la lo oh la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 oh si vaki vonya lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 oh la lo la lo 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 oh la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 la lo 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 oh si vaki vonya lo la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo 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 oh la lo la lo 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 la lo la lo